welcome to a brand new episode here on Britain's Farm. So as you can see, spring has finally sprung and we are out in the Massey Ferguson with our new 6-metre seed drill and we are planting linseed. Doing okay as it happens, but yeah, it's not going too badly. But it's a little bit. I loved the little 3-metre. Basically, we had sort of one side of that drill, and I loved that drill. But the fact that it was 3-metre. Oh yeah, in the field just over there, just over here, we've got Richard helping us out. So he's down on his John Deere. This is one of the new fields that we bought. So we bought this field here, and we also bought. There's a field over here as well. Oh, actually, it's a bit further around, but there's a field over it. Well, 2 fields in that direction as well that we bought. So we've bought some new land, and these 2 fields are. This is what I was explaining in the sugar beet episode, I think it was, or it may have even been the ploughing episode. So this is the grass that we've bought that goes on to the back of the field that we own. So that's the field that we're now drilling. This bit here was the grass field that we originally had, but what I've done now is I've bought both sides of the grass, either side of it, and this is all now our field. And what we're going to do is, myself and Richard, we're going to cut the grass, and what we're going to do is hopefully, fingers crossed, have some silage, because we are going to get where the animals are, we're going to get that built up a bit more, and we are going to have, we think, a dairy up there. So that's what we think we're going to do, and we're also at some point as well, whether it be the end of this year, just get my bearings. So over there somewhere, roughly where those wind turbines are, there is a pig farm there. It's a really tiny pig farm, and we might buy the pig farm there and keep the pig farm there. Yeah, it's a bit separate from this, but it's not a million miles away, and it will just make things a little bit easier, because anything sort of old and rubbish that we don't really use, we can dump down there. Quite frankly, to put it bluntly, we can just dump it down there and get rid of it from the main farm. But we're slimlining our business a little bit. We're taking on much more land now that I've got my farm build sort of started, we'll say, because it's not finished yet, but we've definitely started it. Originally the dairy was going to go up here with the new farm build, but I'm not so sure about that now, just because of the size, and that's one of the reasons why this field here has been left, because am I going to extend it here, or sort of build out here, or am I like leaving it to just that? I'm not too sure yet. But yeah, originally the dairy was going to go at the back here, so this was going to be the dairy actually, rather than go through the gate. There we go. So the dairy was going to go in here. I mean, this is the dairy that I've kind of chosen mainly for size and for cost, which is that one. But as you can see, it's a tad big for here. Now that's not too much of an issue, because what we do is we'll take up the sort of hedge wall along there and move it down here, move it a bit nearer, a bit further back. But yeah, it's just a tad really too big, which is such a shame. Having said that, you see it fits in with that gate quite nicely. Yeah, I don't know, but we're thinking about putting that one down there, basically, with the rest of the animals up there. So that's kind of what we're thinking about doing. But So just kind of try and fill you in again. If you can hear some strange noises on the microphone, I think the window cleaner's in. Yeah, the window cleaner's in. So yeah, as I say, that's the plan's there, but so that's why this has kind of been left. But I think this will be drilled. As I say, I think that one that we're drilling now, this one and that one and this one are going to be linseed, and then we're going to have a field of peas, a field of beans, and we will have, I think, get my bearings. So in that field just over there, we're going to have barley. So we've got a busy old month of drilling coming up because, as I say, a lot of this crop needs to go in now. Beans and peas are next month, so we're okay there as such. But yeah, we've got to sort of crack on a little bit. That's not a final sort of field plan. You know, it is subject to change several times because that's just the way I rock. It's kind of like, yeah, it's definitely coming. Well, actually, in the end, I forgot about that and did it this. But yeah, so this is going to be hopefully our straight edge. This is the way we're going to drill it. So yeah, this way here. That's the way we're going to do it. And yeah, so but I say this seed drill is going to help me to not miss bits and to keep a little bit straighter, and also as well to make sure that I do try and get the tram lines roughly in the right place. So that does require me driving in a dead straight line, but it's a case of with that little 3 meter one, I was trying to be so precise with it so that I wasn't overlapping, so that I wasn't missing, that I was sort of the secret to driving a tractor in a straight line is to look directly ahead of you, as far into the distance as you can. So when you're having to look down at the implement, you're then all over the place because you're steering the implement, not the tractor, and that doesn't really work out, to be fair. So that's the reason why in the end I sort of thought, well, to be fair, this drill came up on the you know, sort of sale, you know, or you know, in the reduced or second-hand equipment bit of the store, and I just thought, why not, you know. So that's 6 meters, so this is 12 meters. So let's just readjust the computer because it's still on 6 meters. So we want 24, which is there. Half of 24 is 12. There you go, the inner workings of James's brain. Oh, we don't need that down. And then we just lift the camera up a little bit just as I can see. But yeah, so that's what we've been up to. But yeah, we will now crack on and get some drilling completed. So I wasn't too sure really how to do this video. Was I going to do another sort of chatty video where it lasts sort of, you know, 45 minutes or 45 minutes, or was I going to do a time-lapse video, or, you know, so I in the end I've kind of sort of gone with the we'll do a chatty video, and we'll talk about some stuff. Interestingly enough, like, and I kind of have mentioned this before, but I don't think I've asked it quite as directly as this. Do you, like, you know, do you enjoy just listening to farming stories, because it is a farming channel? So you know, I kind of appreciate that might be where everyone's at, or, you know, do you know, sort of like general stories, you know, where I just tell you about, you know, sort of stuff, funny stuff that may have happened in my life, you know. And I've had 1 or 2 people as well not only message me privately via YouTube, and I have to admit it did take me a little while to work out how quite you were getting to message me privately, but anyway, people were, and that's fine, that's great, you know, whatever, you know. sort of, as I've said, it's all about the community, and and hopefully you've all had a good laugh at the replies and everything. But yeah, a lot of people have sort of sent their best wishes in regards to the incident with the deer. One particular person telling me that if I've understood the message correctly, that I should have strapped the deer to the back of the car and had him for tea, which I wouldn't rule out. I would now, because he's been baking in the sun for sort of almost a week, so I definitely rule that out now, but I wouldn't have ruled it out at the time. But I do think I would have had trouble lifting it, even though it was mine, it's its head. Still would have had trouble lifting it. So yeah, but no, thank you for all your, as I say, nice messages and sort of concern. I was fine. The car, it's repairable, and the deer is now in a better place. I think it's fair to say that. But yeah, so it was a very eventful day out, and one that, even given what happened, do you know what? I can't see the bloody lines. Even given what happened, I still wouldn't change. I would still have the day as it was. I really enjoyed the day. I really enjoyed the Royal Norfolk. I was really annoyed that yet again, sort of my incompetence with technology and phones and sort of different things like that, sort of cost me in the sense of running out of memory again, which is an annoying common theme with me, and it is going to change because, as I say, I don't like the fact that we're having to not do quite the content that I want to do, or that we're not able to sort of to do the things that I want to do, including the video at the Royal Norfolk where I was doing the 1950s parade with versus the modern day, because that would have fitted in so well. And the thing is, I kind of then sort of thought, well, go next year, but that won't be on next year. That they would have moved on. There will be something else, and so that's annoyed me. But it's just one of those things. And like I say, phone wise, I mean, I kind of understand that I may well have, that I sort of didn't do it quite right, and I didn't fully, because phones are something I don't get. I think they're a very complicated machine to do a very simple task, and that's how simplified my brain works. I want a telephone that, oh, hang on a minute, I'm in the wrong place there. I want a telephone that basically rings and texts. What I don't want a telephone for is all the other rubbish, that goes with it. It's like, oh, do you want to, play apps and look at this and look at that? Well, no, actually, I don't. I want to ring someone. That's what I want to do. I want to talk to someone, and I'm not, within sort of talking distance, so therefore I need to ring them, and that's what, and sort of texting as well. I kind of get that, but yeah, so I'm a bit of a, in sort of real life, and I mean, like my brothers say this to me, in real life, I'm a bit of a technophobe, but in the farming world, computers on my tractor, absolutely not a problem. I don't know, I'd get it straight away. I'd literally have one of the reps come down and say, right, this is how we use this, and within sort of an hour I've got it, or half an hour I've got it. And I was sort of talking to my little brother about it last night, and he said, well, I think the difference is that with your tractors you're interested, with the phone you're not, and so therefore you kind of put up a barrier against it, whereas your tractors, it was part of your job, it was, you were interested in that anyway, and so therefore you're able to sort of do it. And I think he's probably spot on, to be fair. you know, it's the same with my sort of PC, you know, as he says, like, you're able to use it perfectly for the things that you want to do with it, but everything else you just say, oh, I don't understand it. And you know, and as I say, I think he's probably right. But there we go. You know, what can I say? But yeah, so but no, I say Wednesday was a good day. It was a an interesting day. So went to my son's sports day the other day, and got asked by his teacher, "Oh, James, do the father's race." Well, if you want to get an ambulance in, I'll have a go. I was like, no, you're okay. She said, oh, you know, don't let Thomas down. And I'm kind of like a bit embarrassed and a bit, you know, sort of all of this business. And Thomas, my son, he just looked at the teacher and he went, are you mad? You'll kill him. Which I was just so funny. It was just, honestly, like, I was just, and all the other parents are sort of looking at him and me and thinking, why, you know, and then and sort of the teacher looked at Thomas and went, oh, don't be silly, so silly, Thomas. And I went, no, to be fair, he ain't far out. She sort of looked at me as if to say, well, don't encourage him. But yeah, so that was an amusing thing that happened. But yeah, so it's as I say, it was a strange couple of days for me, really. But yeah, all the fun of the fair. So I a bit reluctantly, I was going to talk about England a little bit today, but I understand that football can be a bit like talking about politics or religion. So I'm not really too sure, other than to say I think England got very lucky last night, and I think they're very fortunate to be still in the tournament. And if I was an England player's wife, I would be very much looking forward to him coming home next weekend, because I don't think Switzerland are going to be quite so forgiving as what Slovakia was. You know, Slovakia did, and England, they got a 1-0 lead, and they literally tried to defend the rest of the game, and yeah, it didn't quite, you know, within a few seconds, but it did, or a minute, I think it was, or 2 minutes, it didn't quite work out, but it could have, you know, and you know, good luck to them, but they were very unfortunate. So and we were very, very fortunate. We were very lucky. So yeah, I think the subject of football should go, but quite interested actually. One sort of kind of interesting. What I'm, you know, sort of just wondering is, I'm a Peterborough United fan. So when I get sort of, you know, 200, 300, 400 views on my video, it's all new to me, a crowd. You know, when you go to Posh, you can expect plenty of leg room. You know, there's plenty of room. You can sort of, you know, you get allocated a ticket and a seat, but yeah, that's very flexible, because the chances of anyone else being in any of the other seats is really tiny. So you know, usually you're okay to sort of kind of sit. It's a bit like I find when I go to my local cinema. You know, I find that they're like, you know, oh, you know, I want to see this film. Okay, pick your seat. And you look at the, you know, the picture comes up on the screen for you to touch which seat you want, you know. And I'm looking at it thinking, the film's about to start in sort of 10 minutes. You're asking me to pick my seat, like it's like there's, you know. And I'm looking at the screen, and it's like, well, it's virtually empty, mate. Like, do you know what I mean? So in the end, I just like randomly pick a place to sit, and then just end up sitting where I want anyway. Like, it's just like, you know, it's kind of, it's a bit weird. And it's the same with Peterborough. You know, it's like they always give you a seat, and then you sort of look around, and you know, the next person you is like sort of 40, 50, 60 seats away, and you think, I'm not really restricted to here then, really, am I? But yeah, so in the comment section, just for those of you that do support a football team and what have you, be interesting just to see sort of like, is it going to be a Man United or a Chelsea or an Arsenal that's the most popular commented team, or is it going to be sort of lower league teams? I lived I've moved back now obviously to my mum's house after my relationship ended with a woman that I live with or that I was with in Norwich, and obviously one of my sort of regrets, and there are a few, but one of my regrets is not going to see Norwich play while I was there. So I just kind of, I don't know, I was just thinking about it, as I say, today when I was sort of planning the video and what have you, and I was kind of like, I wonder what, sort of is the most popular team. Would it be a Man United or whatever, or, would it be a lower league team? So, yeah, just comment below what team you support. You only have to name the team, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see what it is. Well, this is going particularly well. I'm really pleased with this, actually, to be fair. Try and keep it as straight as I can. I must admit, on the farm, it was one of my favourite jobs. Probably, I mean, ploughing I loved because I did it for the vast majority of the year. As I've said before, I just sort of kind of filled in as and where, but ploughing was my actual job. And drilling was my job as well in the autumn. So myself and Shane did the vast majority of the drilling, and then if it became wet or if we got behind for whatever reason, as I said, we had a Simba drill that was our floater drill, and then someone else would go, obviously would go on there, and then we'd have 3 drills drilling. And I also used the occasionally I would take the Verdestat, but if I went off contract drilling, I would take the Simba. Just my Verdestat drill, because obviously the farm buys the drill and everything, but once they buy you a bit of kit, it becomes your responsibility, and why you don't have to repay for repairs. But if there's suddenly a lot of repairs on your machines, and it kind of gets brought up at the beginning or the end of the month, we were paid monthly, and when we were paid, it was usually a Friday. And apart from harvest and really busy times, but what would happen is that in the morning in the canteen you would have like, this month, James has covered this much ground, because you'd have to put down your hours and the amount of fuel that you'd used, any repairs that had needed to have been done, but you had to log everything, so that the company knew or the farm knew how much they were spending on you. And if you had a lot of repairs, or if you had a lot of breakdowns or whatever, then what would happen is that obviously you would be pulled up on it and say, well, actually, do you need retraining to use this machine because you seem to be breaking it, or things seem to be happening to the machine? So what I tended to do, because the Simba drill didn't come as part of my responsibility, so because it was one of our floater machines, we had floater tractors that could be used by anybody, and if you noticed a problem, you got it fixed, and nothing really was ever said. So what I would do is when I would go contract drilling, because you didn't really know what you were going to find when you got to where you were going, and 99% of the contract drilling that I did would have been in Norfolk, so it'd have been around like the Kings Lynn area, going to Swaffham and sort of areas like that, sometimes into Cambridgeshire and what have you, but the vast majority of the time I would be going into Norfolk, because, as I say, you didn't know what ground conditions you were, if you like, walking into. So to take the Simba was the better idea, because if I hit something, or if the field was particularly stony or whatever, whatever sort of might pop up. If I had the Simba on and I needed it repairing, it didn't go against me because it was a floater. So that's why I used to take it, because they used to say to me, "Oh, why don't you take your drill?" And I used to say, "Yeah, but." And in the end, Adrian kind of who was my manager, sort of said, "Actually, it's not a bad idea." He said, because he said the one thing I do find a bit unfair is when you boys go and do something for someone else, if it breaks, you still get you still are held, sort of accountable for that. Whereas it might be the conditions that we're experiencing, where we're at, and the farm owners and the top people right at the very top never take that into consideration. So whenever I used to go drilling, I always took the Simba, and then I found that a lot of the lads kind of, sort of questioned me on it, and then thought, actually, that's not a bad idea. If ever I went somewhere grain carting, because I had a nice wheel tractor, so I did have a nice wheel tractor that was under my, sort of under my care, if you like. But again, if I was going grain carting or onion carting or some sort of carting whatever somewhere else, I'd take one of the floater tractors, which was usually the 7920. I liked that tractor. I liked that tractor a lot. My nice tractor when I first went there was a 7530, and I had that for a few years, and then I moved up to an 8R, just because my 7530 struggled with my plough if it was wet, and of course if it became really wet and we had lots of ploughing that we needed to be getting on with, I'd obviously need a wheel tractor, and the 8R offered fantastic grip drive. Obviously we would do it plough in the furrow rather than on top, because nearly all of my ploughing in ideal conditions would take part on top, sort of have it offset. But with my plough I could have it offset, or I could have it narrowed in, so I could plough in the furrow, or I could plough on top of the furrow. So it was a nice option to have, and to have a sort of powerful wheel tractor. Say my 7530 would do it, but it would struggle, and I would get a lot of wheel slip and stuff like that, and obviously that's not ideal, because then you're sort of scuffing the ground up underneath, because obviously you're going to bury that with the plough. So as I say, I moved over to an 8R, and the 8R pretty much had no trouble wherever. I mean, obviously if the ground was really hard going, or if the soil was particularly heavy, then sometimes again it would cause a bit of slippage, but it wasn't too bad. But yeah, so I had a nice wheel tractor, so if I ever went carting or fertilizer spreading or whatever on the farm, then I would use my nice wheel tractor. But if I was going somewhere else and I didn't really know what I was going to find, I mean, sometimes because I would very often go to the same places, and after a while you kind of get a feel for how the farm runs, how the farm operates, what sort of condition their fields and that are in. And if I knew I was going to a good farm, then yeah, I would take the Verdistat, because it was a lot easier to use and set up than what the Simba was. I mean, I liked the Simba, but the Verdistat was just a lot more modern and a lot more, as I say, easier to set up and easier to sort of make significant changes within the field very quickly. I found that the Simba drill was a good drill once you got it set up, whereas the Verdistat was very flexible and you could change the settings very, very quickly, and it meant that you could go from one field type to another, whereas the Simba, being a much older drill, it wasn't as straightforward and it wasn't as quick. So that ideally I wanted to take my nice stuff because it was modern and it was quick and easy to set up and to change, and as I say, once sort of my cultivators, or the cultivators on the farm, they were all you could change the depths of them, you could change spacings on the move, you know, and that obviously made life, you know, so much easier, especially when you were out on contract, because obviously they were paying you by the there was obviously a fee that the farm would get, but then they would pay me by the hour, which, you know, I know is how wages work. But what I mean by that is that they were, you know, so they wanted you to be as quick as possible. They didn't want you hanging it out. So yeah, that was the reasons why I sort of, you know, did, you know, take the Simba, and why, you know, as I say, I would take a floater tractor or whatever. The trailers on the farm, they were just trailers. You know, you weren't given trailers as part of your fleet, if you like. You know, the trailers were just trailers, and you used them. And we had a mixture between Larrington veg trailers that were specially made for the farm, not only for box loading, but also for like cauliflowers and stuff like that. As I said in the previous video, they were custom made for the farm, so they were a normal flatbed Larrington trailer. So funnily enough, I might have one in my mod folder. Bale trailer, let's just have a look. No, I haven't, but let's just say, for example, that's a Larrington. So it'd be a normal trailer like that, but on the side, that's, so I think it'd be this side, I think. You would have a platform that would stick out, so it'd fold in when you was going down a road. It would fold like on top of the trailer, so, you know, it was hydraulically driven, but you'd have a platform that would come out, and it would have like a bale grab elevator on there, and then it would bend, so there'd be a bend in it. Well, rather than a bend, it was more of a belt, really, but it would go up there, then it would stop, and then the belt would pull it onto the trailer. And then once there was a belt down the centre of the trailer, once the box was full, it would then move the box down one, the next one would come up, and then so forth. And then this was attachable, but on the back of oh, that's actually a better thingy. So you would have the pickup bit here, like, you know, for the boxes. So the boxes would be laid out on the floor, and then the boxes would come up the side of the trailer, and then they would get to about, I don't know, about there somewhere. I mean, it's hard to say, and then a belt would take them onto the center, and then there'd be a belt in the middle, and then they just keep riding the boxes down the trailer. And then we had an attachable box dropper on the back, and we had two types. We had an elevated one, where they would just go and then sort of fall down and then eventually lay on the floor. And we also had like a box grabber. So again, it was like two posts, and then in the middle there was a box grabber. And from inside the tractor cab on the box, you could then lower it, grab the box, pick it up, slide it across, drop it down, and then do that. Or alternatively, as we used to use it, the vast majority of the time would be, we would just have either front loaders or forklifts just come and take the back box off all the time, and they would do that at the end of each row. So if there was you know, you get to the end where you're turning around, and say there might be, you know, one or two or three, you know, depending on the size of the field, boxes that would be full. Well, as they turned around and then stopped and waited for everyone to get back into position, you know, there would be three or four front loaders or forklifts or whatever there. They'd take the boxes off, and then you'd have like a few that would be laying boxes out on the next row, and then that's how we did it. I haven't explained it all that well, but it worked very well. It was a very good system, but I just, again, not very good with sort of like the telehandlers and stuff like that. So for me, I wasn't quick enough. I wasn't good enough to do that. But I mean, again, you know, the farm wasn't overly that bothered, because, you know, my job was ploughing. So I'd be in there behind them ploughing it in, or, you know, or doing whatever was necessary. But yeah, so we had those for our sort of collies and broccolis and sort of stuff like that. And then obviously we had other custom made Larrington flatbeds that would be for emptying boxes, potatoes into boxes from the Grimmy. We had a Grimmy self-propelled, and we had two Grimmy GT 170s. And then we got a third trailed potato harvester in the sort of autumn of 2012, I think it was. We had a really, we think that this last autumn and sort of spring have been wet. It was nothing compared to that. And we got a blue potato. I can't remember the name of it. And had I have thought, I would have looked it up before I came on air, so to speak, and would have sounded very intelligent. But I can't remember the name of it. But it was a blue one, and that was really nice. That was. But the GT 170, that was again one of those machines that was on the farm, so it wasn't assigned really to anybody. But obviously you had to log that you were using it, and if that broke down a lot, they would want to know what you were doing with it. But and then we had also Larrington veg trailers for like potatoes and carrots, onions, etc., etc. And then we also had some Baileys as well. And we had 18-ton what were called 18-ton high-sided Bailey trailers, and they were for all of our grain. That's what that's what they were for. The Larrington was nearly all of the Larrington stuff was for our veg side of things, but the Bailey stuff, the Bailey trailers, grain carts and silage carts and stuff like that were for the arable, all the grains and stuff like that. And we also had a Bailey scissor lift trailer for when we were pea harvesting. So as I say, we had a Bailey scissor trailer, which to be fair was a very nice trailer. I used it again only a couple of times. So being there for as long as what I was there, there was a lot of jobs that I did once or twice, but never do very often. I'll tell you what, I'm really pleased with how that's gone. That's been a really nice, and hopefully those tram lines are in a better position, because as you know from sort of the fields over there, they were set just a little bit too far apart, but it felt when I was drilling it like I was getting the drill in the right place, and again nice and straight, or straight as what I can get it. That tractor handles that drill very nicely, to be fair. It's just the right drill for that tractor. And as I say, it is a model that I had. It was made by CQ, the double-headed C drill, and didn't have markers on actually, the CQ one, but otherwise it was that drill, and say it was 6 meters, and the CQ one also had a power hour on the front, but that would be too much for this tractor, so I've just got the drill bar. But yeah, anyway, I think I'm probably going to leave it here for this episode. Richard's finished that field, so we'll get him into the next one. As I say, we've got some fields out there as well now, so it's nice that we're moving on with a bit more land and a bit more work, and Richard's sort of kind of understood that he's going to have to help out a little bit more, and not take such a backward role. But once, as I've said to him, once we get the sort of drilling done, then he can sort of kind of largely disappear back into the background, and I can sort of cope with the spraying and the fertilizing and the rolling and sort of stuff like that. It's just this time, when we're drilling, I need someone in front of me to work the land. As I say, this field, not too sure what it's going to come yet, whether it's going to come, we'll just disc that so we don't leave the wheelings, whether it's going to come barley or peas or beans or whatever. But and to be fair, it is a nice sized field, so it might be one of those crops, to be fair. But yeah, so I'd say we've got 2 more fields just up here, and I'll show you these. Now, I've got a feeling one of them's grass. So I've got a feeling that one of them is grass. And, sorry. So that will need cutting before we're able to drill it. So it's this one up here on the left. Oh, getting a bit close to the fence. Oh dear, that's not very good, James. So it's this field here on the left. This one. Which I'm assuming goes to this line. So it's just this little bit here and then this field over here that we've got, which is also a grass field. I didn't realise both of them are grass, but it doesn't matter. Like I say, we can get them done, and that'll be hay for this year. So, and as I say, this field here, it's a bit bigger. This field, it's a nice sort of decent sized field, but it's just over the road from all our other fields and Richard's other fields as well. So, yeah, it's a good time to be on Britain's farm, I think. But as I say, I am going to leave it here, and in the next episode we'll carry on with the drilling. Just wanted to do sort of a chatty episode because more and more of you are saying that you really enjoy listening to the stories. So as long as people are enjoying listening to them, obviously I'll carry on doing them. And as much as I'd want to make them an hour, 2 hours long, I really can't do that. So we'll as I say, we'll leave it here for now. But thanks ever so much for joining me. If you haven't done already, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. The new target now for this month, because we are now July the 1st, as I record this, yes, I'm a little bit behind on my recording. I've had obviously Wednesday I was at the Royal Norfolk. Thursday was my son's sports day, plus I needed to get a little bit of damage to my car repaired after being hit by the deer. Well, I hit the deer, really, it didn't hit me. So I had to get that done as well. So, and over the weekend, I've not been in a great place, but we're back on form again now, and it just means I've got to work hard today and tomorrow to get back in front again, to try and get back being a week and a half in front of myself, which But anyway, so if you haven't done already, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It really does help the channel, and hit that share button as well. Share it wherever you want to share it. And that's all good stuff. And all that's left for me to say is thanks ever so much for joining me on this episode. I've really enjoyed having your company, and I really look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.